Welcome to another episode of Kiss My Assets.
The transparency, the openness, the communication is more than you could expect. I'm sold.
Don't let the fact that you don't know something or don't know enough about something hold you back.
I knew I wanted to invest. What better way to invest than to invest in what I already know that I love, which is real estate.
It was initially the 12% return, but it quickly turned into the people.
All right, we're excited to have another episode of Kiss My Assets. This is our podcast at Neighborhood Ventures, and we have one of our investors and also a partner with our business. So Dorie Morales, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jamison, for having me on the show. I'm really excited to share with your audience about green living, sustainability, and a lot of great things. And I'm excited to be here with Heather as well.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Heather, for joining us.
I know, there's an investor here. I insist on being here.
Yes, Heather is an investor relations pro. So
I'm going to remember you said that.
So we have a lot of things to talk about today. So Dorie has a really interesting background because you were in the apartment publishing business in a prior life.
Yes.
This life, but several years ago. And then you are an investor with Neighborhood Ventures. And then once we found out you were an investor, we learned a bit more about your business, your company, Green Living Magazine. And we just recently did an event with Green Living at our property, Venture on Country Club, because we weren't totally strategic about the country club project trying to make it sustainable. But as we worked through the process and as we just kind of followed our intuition and our instincts, we ended up having a very sustainable project compared to how a lot of these remodels are done. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. So just kind of want to kick off. Can you tell us a little bit about your Green Living Magazine? You're the publisher.
I'm the publisher.
And
yep.
You started it how long ago?
In 2010.
Okay.
So September will be our 12th anniversary. We're really excited about that. And it's an eco-conscious lifestyle magazine. Our mission is to educate, empower, and inspire people to make eco-conscious choices for a healthy life and a healthy planet. And our vision is a world in which people live, work, and play sustainably, leaving the world a better place for future generations.
Wow.
We could almost end it right there.
Yeah, that's yeah, that was a lot, but it all makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's a very clear mission. When you started the publication, because you were in the publication business before.
Correct.
And I was a long time ago in a publication business as well for a few years, and I know how much work it is to publish a magazine. You also have a website. What is the website?
greenlivingmag.com.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful website. That I know
Thank
for
you.
sure. I've been on
Thank
it.
you.
I love it. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
and the magazine is great too, and so you publish 11 issues a year.
Yes, we do a summer issue, June, July.
Okay, that makes sense.
Take the summer off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what inspired you to create this magazine? You were in the publishing business before, but why did you go this route?
So kind of an interesting story because I was in the apartment industry magazine, and then my former business partner had kind of started the magazine, and it was really a business opportunity for me. But when he came to me with the idea, I was actually going to Portland of all places. I got to the airport, and there was, how does the U.S. rank in terms of sustainability? Got on the plane, the cover of Southwest magazine is like, what is sustainability? And then I went to Portland and everything, there's so much more forward thinking in Portland. Everything was about biking and eco-consciousness. I basically came back from that trip and I called John and I said, I'm in.
Wow.
I'm starting this magazine. And growing up, I wasn't really, I would say my husband was a lot more eco-conscious than me, like reading all the labels and really connecting with nature. He was a big Jacques Cousteau lover, documentaries and things like that. But I realized I got back to my roots. My dad had a garden when we lived in New Jersey, an acre garden. Everything was like organic. Then I horseback rode, and I was fortunate to be a foreign exchange student in the south of France. And my girlfriend's in Bordeaux, drinking wine, having the time of her life. And I am in this little village in the Basque region of France with 1,500 people, and I'm milking cows and goats, making our own milk, cheese. And in 2019, I went back, and the family was fighting the fight to keep all organic agriculture in the Basque region. We went into their little store. They had a French magazine called Le Plan Naturel. So going on that trip really changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Wow. Yeah, the one thing that I've noticed with the magazine and what you do events and do other things across the valley is you've captured a large following of folks in Arizona, which isn't necessarily Portland. But I also find that most of us agree with the idea that being more sustainable doesn't necessarily mean that you are, thinking about every aspect of your life in a really, intense way. It's just doing some of these little things that are kind of common sense. And so
it's easy to build once you're starting little, and then it's easy to add.
I always talk about simple solutions, and I came up with a whole program about speaking to different women's groups and speaking to networking events about, if you can just ditch the straw, like one simple thing, or give up a plastic water bottle, because water bottles, it takes 1,000 years to disintegrate. And if you just use a reusable container, everything adds up. Or think about how many plastic bags are in our environment and what they're doing to the environment, where if you just bring in your little reusable bag, or don't skip the bag, if you just get a few items at the grocery store, it all adds up. And then when you look at buildings and in the industry you're in, energy efficiency is a huge, one of the largest footprints that we have in terms of sustainability, and being mindful and adaptively reusing projects and keeping things that are already in there so much more mindful to the planet than everything going into the landfill and things like that.
Yeah, and that's something we've seen even in our area. There's a building being demolished right up the street here. There's a huge pile of rubble sitting there ready to go into the landfill, and they're going to build a new building there. And I don't know the background of the building, if it was structurally having problems or whatever, but there is a lot of waste that comes from our industry, construction industry, that as we are a bit more thoughtful about how things are done, that can really make a difference. And you're an investor in our country club project, and we just did our event there. What were some of the things about what we did there that kind of stood out to you that were good from an environmental standpoint, other than the fact we didn't tear down the building? We decided to use it.
I thought you currently are renting to short-term rentals, and now you went in and worked with a hotel and reused furniture. So repurposing furniture is a huge something that's really great for the environment, because when you go out and you buy new, and all the toxins and chemicals that are put into new furniture and things like that. So I think you get an A+ for that. And then I know that you could have went in and replaced all the bathtubs, and you did not do that. You refinished them and repurposed them, as well as all the cabinets, which you can give cabinets a whole new look, as opposed to pulling them out and then you have to donate them to Habitat for Humanity or Stardust, which are two great, awesome organizations. But, it's much better to just use what is already there. And then on some of your other projects, not on this one specifically, but you do a lot of zero waste, zero scaping, and low water usage, which I think is really fantastic. And I'm not sure, but I would assume you probably use like no VOC or low VOC paints and things like that. And I'm not sure
I'll say yes. I don't know either. I will look into that.
It sounds right. It feels right.
But that at our country club property, you're right. We went and bought the furniture from J.W. Marriott in North Scottsdale. They were remodeling, and they essentially throw that furniture away, and it's actually really high quality furniture.
And this, I have personal experience. I have slept on one of those mattresses. It was one of the best. I went and asked, where did this mattress come from? Where
Oh
can
my
I get
gosh.
one? It's a good night's sleep.
And we didn't want to go spend $15,000 per unit to furnish, because
Right.
ultimately we want this building to become an apartment building, to add additional housing units onto the market.
Which is so very much needed right now,
So needed,
especially in Mesa.
yes. And then to your point about the cabinets, if you can keep the cabinets, it does take some work, and you have to have a crew that will go in there and do some of the hard work, sanding down, repainting, resurfacing. But our crew was really excited about the opportunity to do that, and a lot of places don't do that. And in fact, we looked at not doing that, and it's quicker to not do that, because you just buy the stuff, and it's great if you can send the extra materials to Habitat for Humanity or Stardust or one of these groups, but a lot of times it ends up in the dumpster, unfortunately. So we were really excited with what we were able to do at Country Club, and to kind of have definitely not your endorsement, but your expertise in helping us to identify some of those areas. And then as we continue to do projects going forward, that's something we definitely will keep in mind.
And definitely, like another thing, I don't know if you looked into this, but if you change all of your water faucets to low water usage, I've known owners that have saved $80,000 a month on their water bill. Plus, it's so much better for the environment.
Yep. Yeah, the low flow. Yeah, that's a great idea. And these are things that we can do at home too.
I know.
And-
I just want, can I do that at my house?
Yeah,
It's a cheaper
absolutely.
bill. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll write
Yeah,
this
with
down.
your faucets,
Yeah.
with your toilets, with
Yeah.
your showers.
Yeah.
Another huge thing. I mean, well, what would be great, and I could see this in the future, is maybe we even did some education. If you are able to convert it back into apartments, I could come and speak like once a year to the residents, and here's some things you can do to be more conscious, more sustainable, and how it can also save you money.
Yep.
And I think most people are interested in that. It's easy to get overwhelmed when it seems like such a big
Yeah.
big problem, and someone comes, here's the little things you do. And
Yeah,
And who wouldn't want to do
Yeah.
them? And you don't have to go big. Like, not everybody can afford to put solar on their home.
Right.
And not everyone, maybe that's depending on where your house is and the lighting and different, it may not be the best thing for your home.
Yeah.
But anybody can like turn down a thermostat when they leave the house.
yes, you can do that. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the fears around people in trying to be more sustainable and more green, is that they don't want it to disrupt their lifestyle, and I get it. But at the same time, it doesn't take a lot to just change some of these habits, not using plastic water bottles, filling up a cup at work, for example. And here at the Grid, we have refills, water refills, so it's really easy to go fill up your cup and keep reusing it. We also here have dishes that are washed instead of just throwing plastic
Yes.
away and going through that. And it's also much more fun to eat on a real dish than a plastic dish that
Right.
just goes in the
'Cause
garbage.
I'm a fancy lady.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
not here for plastic plates. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But some of these things are easy. And then I think where it kind of really makes the most sense is when you can see how financially it's either the same cost or sometimes you can save money. Then you get those kind of the trifecta in someone's head where it's sustainable,
Yep.
it's easy, and it can save the money. They will do it.
And it maybe saves water, or it's helping with waste. You're reducing the waste. And maybe something you guys could even do here is start a workplace challenge. Like, who can recycle the most, or who can drive, maybe not drive or carpool to work, or use alternative forms of transportation, bike or walk, or different things like that, and get everybody involved.
If there's
I
a
love that.
competition, I'll have to win. So that's the only problem, Dorie. I'll have to win.
No, I love that, and that's what gets people thinking and looking for creative solutions and ideas. So tell us a little bit about your how you found out about Neighborhood Ventures. You became an investor first, and then we got to know more about green living. But how did you find out about us? Do you remember?
I do, actually, through Elena. Because
Okay.
Alina has actually written for the magazine over the years, and when she went on her own, she told me about. Oh, actually,
So
before.
Elena is our PR person.
Right,
Yeah.
Alina Verhoff, and actually prior to that, before you started Neighborhood Ventures, she had connected me with John because I was in a multi-use interior design building in Scottsdale, and I was thinking about doing the collaborative workspace, and John had that, so I had met John by then. And then when she wrote about Neighborhood Ventures in the magazine, that I know a lot of our readers were really interested in and came to your event. So
Yeah. No, that's perfect, and I love to find out how people hear about us, and we now have a large pool of investors. At the very beginning, it was trying to bring awareness around what we were doing, and it was hard to get our word out. Now we have a nice pool of investors, a lot of support, but it's fun to find out how people found out about us. And one of the things specifically for the green living community that I think makes a lot of sense is we all know we need to invest, and we need to save for the future. The unique thing about investing with Neighborhood Ventures is you can also invest in something you believe in, because we are going to be sustainable in our projects. It may not be the number one priority that we have. I'll be honest. Our number one priority is to get our investors returns to them. That is
Right.
our number one priority. But just below that is to make sure our budgets come in line and to be more sustainable and to reuse what we can. And we try to do that uh, in as many situations as we can. Sometimes we move forward with a plan that we're going to keep kitchen cabinets, for example, and we get in there and for whatever reason we can't. And I personally have taken truckloads of those cabinets down to Mexico to donate down there, because I have a second home there, and the folks down there love to have kitchen cabinets. A lot of them don't
that's
have them.
wonderful.
And then we've donated a lot to Habitat for Humanity as well. But
Which Habitat's one of our partners as well as Stardust. So it's kind of like you just continue to build the community, and where the people with Green Living are so amazing is they're all very brand loyal. So we partner together, we do events, and I think after this last event, you'll be getting some investors. And
We got to talk to some at the event, and I thought they were wonderful. They were so nice, and some have reached out, and I thought, oh, they're a lot like our investors now.
yeah, because you would much rather invest in and support businesses that are aligned with what you believe in, especially as it comes to things like this, sustainability and environmentally conscious, because we know, frankly, the business world, investment world, a lot of times has ignored that. And I worked on a team at Goldman Sachs that we were picking companies and rating companies based on their environmental sustainability, because every company now, most public companies put out a report every year that's I think it's called ESG
yep.
report.
Environmental Social Governance.
Yes.
Yep.
And they talk about their initiatives around being environmentally conscious. 20 years ago, that was not a thing.
Right.
But investors care about that
Yes.
today. And I think it's great, because once investors care about it, once the dollar cares about it,
Right.
people listen and they respond. And a lot of public companies are now submitting those reports, and they're making it a priority in the company to look for those things. But historically, and I still think broadly, most companies don't focus on it.
Not as many. Well, I think after COVID, there's been a lot of eye-opening, and a lot of people, I don't think, put together, it's called Lifestyles of Health and Sustainability, that health really plays a part in this as well, and what you eat and what you put in your body and what you're putting on your body, because most people don't know this, but women, we're putting 16 toxic chemicals on our face if we're using like normal skincare products, and an average woman puts on 16 products on her face, where our body, 12 to 16 products, and
And
depending.
there's some wonderful, like, natural makeup options,
Yep.
and companies that are doing wonderful things, and
Yep.
you can feel a little, and you have choices as a consumer.
Yep.
And I have some money, where am I going to put it? And you look at things like, how is this going to take care of me? I really, during COVID, just flour, the flour I bought to bake with, there was a company that the way they treated their employees during the pandemic. I thought, this is where I'm going to put my money.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I think people really are more and more looking at.
And they're more and more
Yeah.
conscious, and they're more and more looking at health and investment. And also, that's a huge thing too. There's investment books of financial feminism and investing in companies that support the values, because I think now people are becoming more passionate and more value driven.
Right. Well, and I think when you find those alignments, like we've been able to with your community, we find it will just continue to drive the broaden the community around green living, around sustainability, because us the younger folks, I guess I don't know if I'm younger anymore, but
We are. We are vibrant and cool and hip and young.
It's millennials and on are focused on that a lot more than prior generations, and so it becomes something that will continue to get that focus. So I think that
and I think
awareness.
the millennials are definitely voting with their dollars.
Yes.
You have to support what I believe in, and it's great.